Welcome, welcome, welcome. Y'all are in the middle of it. Thank y'all for joining me. I'm Jeb Hart. I got Clayton Harris here with me today. How are you, buddy?
Doing well, Jeb. Good morning.
I'm glad to hear it. Sorry for those y'all out there. We had a bit of a mix-up on the live stream yesterday. I hope we got it sorted. We've had was it copyright issues? What was our
Yes, we
kerfuffle?
had some copyright issues that I had to send in and tell them that hey, we pay royalties for this stuff. So
The man came down on us in real time. I'm genuinely impressed by the speed with which that was adjudicated on their part. So
it's
tip
almost
of the cap.
it's AI, man. Like they it's incredible how they can
They
just
hear it and just come from the rafters.
they can just ping you like that. Yeah, it's pretty wild. Pretty wild.
That's impressive. Well, I mean, so for y'all who were listening on the previous one, our prediction of a more contentious decompression session did not come to pass. Uh, that was a relatively measured, uh, more procedural three dudes. So I guess I'll get into the contentious portion of recent events and something that's been just bothering me to death. I want to talk about one of the weirdest hills that Democrats in Washington have picked to die on: voter ID. Like, it's not civilization versus anarchy or war and peace. They're willing to die on the hill of a piece of plastic with your face on it that proves who you are. And yet somehow Chuck Schumer and co talk about ID like it is, and this is from his tweet yesterday, Jim Crow 2.0. Not something it's a policy I disagree with or a trade-off I'm not willing to make. Jim Crow 2.0. And here's why that breaks most reasonable people's brains, because you know this isn't some like 50-50 or 51-49 issue. This is one of those rare things where the American public, left, right, and in between, center, middle-ish, all say, yeah, that's pretty reasonable. The vast majority of the country, the 87% of the population, when polled by, were like, yeah, that makes sense, including 71% of Democrats agreed that voter ID is a good idea. So this isn't, the people talking. This is the staff talking, or the consultants talking, or the donor email list talking. And the talking point that they always bring up is, well, it discriminates. Okay. Here's the problem with that nonsense point. That argument has become the political equivalent of saying, I have a girlfriend. She just totally goes to different schools. She's totally real. Seriously, don't worry about it. Stop. Why are you guys asking questions? It's totally real. Stop being weird. You can say it, but I'm not. I'm going to need to see the work. I'm going to need you to show that that's actually a real thing, because it doesn't actually make any sense, and I don't believe you. Because in real life, we're required an ID for almost everything, all of which matter a lot less than picking the people who run the U.S. government and ostensibly the free world. Like, and we do it every single day, like without pretending Hertz Rent-A-Car is resegregating water fountains, or the lady at the front desk at a hotel is George Wallace at the front steps of University of Alabama. Like, if you if we talk about race and all this thing with ID, if you apply for government benefits, EBT, SNAP, Medicaid, Medicare, the government expects you to prove who you are with an ID. So the claim that voter ID is disenfranchising minorities stops making sense at its face, because if you're an American citizen who falls within the income bracket to qualify for food stamps, you need an ID to get them. So who exactly is this proposed law actually disenfranchising? Like, homeless people need IDs to get EBT and into a lot of shelters. So what, who is getting disenfranchised? And it kind of makes you wonder. because apparently asking for ID is perfectly moral when the money is going out, but it's Jim Crow 2.0 when taxpayer power is being assigned. And everyone's going to roll their eyes and be like, yeah, come on, that doesn't make any sense. And you would be correct because it doesn't. And the part that gets me is that like almost every developed modern society, there's a graphic that went up I mean, Haiti requires voter ID. I mean, like every single modern Western democracy requires voter ID. It's not some weird radical idea. It's more or less the standard in the developed world with who people who have transparent elections. It's not something that's motivated by something else. Like the idea that it's racist is only in like the fever dreams of MSNBC and Rachel Maddow's just just I mean it doesn't exist. They want to believe it to be. So if they really like when they sit there and talk about it and like Chuck Schumer says that, I really don't believe that he believes it. I just know that he thinks it's a talking point. And like without dawning on like a tinfoil hat, I think you could talk about their motivations because if you take their explanation completely at face value, which is a big ask, it really doesn't come close to holding up even to the modicum of scrutiny. So the clear explanation is that voter ID isn't a policy fight, it's a messaging asset. And it lets them say the other side is trying to stop you from voting, which is one of the single most reliable fundraising sentences in American politics. And once you say Jim Crow 2.0, you've done something even more useful. You've made compromise impossible. Because if it's Jim Crow, you're not allowed to negotiate. You're not allowed to improve it. You're not allowed to even fix the execution of it. You're only allowed to fight to the death because Jim Crow was awful and should never ever be repeated. The message being, unless you are pro Jim Crow, stop asking questions, stop asking reasonable questions, get on board, or you too are a racist and Jim Crow. It shuts the conversation down and puts people in a corner. And that's why this rhetoric doesn't just insult the public, it insults history. Jim Crow wasn't, hey, please show me a document. Jim Crow was violence. Jim Crow was intimidation. Jim Crow was rigged systems, literacy tests, officials openly cheating, backing with the backing of the state. So when you take a basic administrative practice like trying to get someone to prove who they are, and then you slap a Jim Crow sticker on it, you're not being moral. You're reframing history to try to fit your needs in this moment. And it's genuinely impressive to be both race baiting and racist at the same time. It is really tough to do both and like nice because that's not an easy, wire to walk because you're belittling the history of Jim Crow by saying this is that and what they went through was they had to show an idea of who they were. It's just ridiculous. And the other layer is where most normal people find themselves. And it's a reasonable start to start connecting dots. And, to be clear, I'm not saying that I have some secret file sitting on my desk or I have some serious proof, but I have a brain and the ability to critically think and extrapolate people's motivations as good as the next guy. I'm saying I understand logic behind the suspicion because the whole idea of having an open border and lax voter ID laws and fighting really hard against it does lead one to believe that if you say we don't need strong ID laws to vote because it disenfranchises everyday average Americans, and then you go on the other hand and say we're going to be very loose on border enforcement, asylum claims, and immigration courts, and a lot of people hear that say, okay, so you want a bigger population and looser verification system at the same time, maybe you're just trying to juice your numbers. That's not like a conspiracy theory. It's a pretty normal human reaction that is very clearly laid out with the incentives. And it gets deeper because people say that illegals can't vote, even though they can in DC, Vermont, California, Maryland. in state and local elections. The main issue is that because of the way we apportion political seats and political power is based on the total population, be it citizen or not. House seats, electoral votes, a whole lot of federal money formulas follow those head counts. So it's real. And you'd say, wait a minute, if you can increase the numbers in population in certain places, you can increase the seats and increase the funding. It doesn't prove that anybody's committing fraud or this is, some sort of master plan, but it does explain why the public doesn't buy the Jim Crow routine. And when you say showing ID is racist, because people aren't only hearing the ID argument, they're hearing the bigger incentive structure around it. And here's what really sets people off is that in most places it's already illegal for non-citizens to vote in elections. Good. But if you're Schumer and you want people to believe that you actually believe it's Jim Crow, which no one actually does, you don't do it by just shouting you propose alternatives. You do it by making the system transparent, verifiable, that suspicion doesn't have that sort of oxygen. You can make it easier to get IDs. You can make it free. You can make it universal. You can clean up voter rolls like your life depends on it. You can verify eligibility at registration in a way that's simple for like legit voters and makes it harder for fraud, but doesn't disenfranchise anybody. Those like solutions are on the table for you. So you're asking us, people on the other side are asking a simple question is like, are we sure the vote is clean? Because in a democracy, trust isn't like a feeling. Trust has to be earned by procedure. And so the point is that like there isn't some grand scheme that I can prove, but if you build a system that looks looser at the exact moment people are already anxious, don't act shocked when they start doing math in their head. And this should be the boring question like, how do we verify eligibility in a way that's easy for voters and hard for fraud? Like, that's it. That's the whole question. But in America, we can't have boring. We have to have moral panic over a piece of plastic. So if Schumer wants to be taken seriously, the crazy idea he could adopt is stop calling normal people racist for wanting reasonable safeguards for their vote. Stop calling basic, admin checkpoints Jim Crow and start doing, the unsexy work of making elections both accessible and verifiable. It's not extreme, it's just adult. And I don't know if they're going to get there, but I really hope they do because it's just a ridiculous talking point that feeds more fuel onto the fire of, the idea that elections are rigged and everything because there's no other motivation you can really have. I I got nothing. Thoughts?
Well, again, I truly believe that you are correct that he does not believe anything that he's saying when it comes to this. It's just I've heard that. I mean, this argument's been around for 20 years. It's just out of the same playbook is that Republicans are going to cut away your Medicare and your Social Security, and it's the same way Republicans say Democrats are going to raise your taxes. It's just part of the playbook. And I've seen them do street interviews with people, African Americans, asking them like, "Do you have an ID?" And basically just everybody agrees that this is crazy. Like it's almost to me, it would be insulting, honestly.
It's the same way that by them saying that, I'm going to go on a bit of a. Give me a moment. J.K. Rowling got in a bunch of trouble, and this is some comedian's bit, and I don't want to misattribute it or say that I came up with it. But he was like, J.K. Rowling got in a bunch of trouble for being anti-Semitic because of the Gringotts Bank goblins were anti-Semitic. When she never said that in any of the books. She never said that they were, but people were like, look, they're goblins who love money with giant noses. It's more anti-Semitic to say that they're Jewish than because she never said it.
Right.
Y'all are like pointing something out, be like, obviously they're Jewish because they're money hungry goblins who with big noses. She's like, whoa, 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 whoa. That's pretty bad. I wouldn't have said that. I
Correct.
didn't say that. You said that. And then you're getting mad about a thing that you said. Like if you're saying it's disenfranchising people who can't get IDs and they're like, yeah, I can get an ID. But I think my point in that thing was that like, why are food stamps not disenfranchising people if they require you to have ID?
Correct.
Why is that? Why is that the line?
Yeah, I
I
mean, but again though, this is what I hate getting partisan here because I don't belong to either side. I'm an independent. I don't belong to either party. But again, these are the same people that want to play make believe. They claim to be the party of science and they don't believe in basic biology. They basically say you can be whatever you want to be. I can identify as whatever I want to identify. That's just not reality. That's just not reality. And it's just it's such as I mean they pander to such small percentages of the country.
they pander to small percentages even in their own party.
Right.
71% of Democrats believe that this is a pretty reasonable thing to do. So I guess my question is reaching for the rationality behind it that isn't profoundly conspiratorial because like the conspiratorial side of it would be they don't want these ideas because they don't want IDs because they want it to be easier to commit fraud. That's the easy jump to make because you know I would go closer to the idea of the census and voting representation and those sort of things, but you can't fight this hard on this weird of a hill that's this unpopular if there isn't something bigger in it. And we will circle back on that because I still don't have an answer to it, but we will catch y'all after the break. Thank y'all for being with us. Catch y'all on the other side.
This is Coach Tredaris Goff from Columbia Central High School football. You are listening to 101.7 WKOM in Columbia, Tennessee.
Hi, I'm Robert Rogers at Parks Motor Sales Buick GMC.
And I'm Michael Parks Lawrence at Parks Motor Sales Buick GMC.
Together, we're Mr. Bobby Parks' grandsons, and we run his dealership, and we are glad to be part of our local community.
Being family owned and operated, we invest heavily in our community.
We do things like sports teams, schools, bands, you name it. We try to help everybody we can.
The reason why we do this is because we all love this community.
So come do business with us, your neighbors, at Parks Motor Sales in Columbia, Tennessee, right off Nashville Highway, or at parksmotorsales.com.
Let's talk custom design jewelry. Did you know Tillis Jewelry in downtown Columbia creates custom design jewelry and has been for over 30 years? From one-of-a-kind engagement rings to wedding bands and so much more. We want each piece to be as unique as you are and create a family heirloom for tomorrow. Call today and make an appointment with one of our designers. And just for calling, you will receive a free 30-minute consultation. Tillis Jewelry, creating custom jewelry proudly in Tennessee.
Hi, Jimmy here for Columbia Ace Hardware. Columbia Ace Hardware now carries Magnolia Home by Joanna Gaines paint. Now their premium quality and huge selection of colors will be right in your neighborhood. Along with the award-winning service and advice Columbia Ace has always provided for your paint projects. Around the block, what you need in stock, with people who know their paint. Columbia Ace, the helpful place.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Do you have trees that need trimming or removed? Do you have stumps that you want grounded? A1 Tree Trimming and Removal is a family-owned and operated business local to Columbia and Lewisburg. They also service surrounding Middle Tennessee. We are licensed and insured and provide free estimates. No job is too big, no tree is too small. Give old Luke a call or text Luke at 931-359-3113. Or you can check them out on Facebook and tell A1 Tree Removal that you heard this ad on the radio. If you love America, then you will love A1 Tree Removal.
You're not just a homeowner, you're also an ice maker that didn't read the job description owner. Fortunately, you've got heating and cooling built and tested to keep going. American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning, built to a higher standard.
Call Davis Heating and Cooling at 931-388-2090 for all your home comfort needs. Davis Heating and Cooling is your local independent American Standard dealer and proudly serves the Murray County area. Find Davis Heating and Cooling online and on Facebook or call today, 388-2090.
Hey, this is Seth Moss at Tennessee Valley Equipment, a premier FAE PrimeTech, Bandit, and Surex dealer. We are your dealer for all of your land clearing and forestry mulching needs. We sell equipment, provide repair service, and parts along with a rental fleet of mulching equipment. We also offer mulching teeth, blades, and sharpening. Our number one priority is getting you up and running as quickly and affordable as possible. Tennessee Valley is located at 300 Santa Fe Pike in wonderful Columbia, Tennessee. Stop by or give us a call today at 931-981-9812.
This is Debbie Matthews with the Nashville Realty Group, and if you've been paying attention, you know the housing market has been tough, but rates are beginning to thaw. So if you're thinking about selling, the time to jump in is getting better every day. But if you're thinking about buying, and those interest rates are still a little bit too high, a good agent knows how to negotiate interest rate buydowns, and I'm a good agent. So call me, Debbie Matthews with Nashville Realty Group, 615-476-3224.
This is Hal Landers, owner of Landers Insurance Agency. We are an independent agency representing the famous Erie Insurance Group. Landers Insurance Agency has been committed to providing great rates and great service since 2002. Whether it's home and auto or business or life insurance, we've got you covered. 24/7 in-house claim service, we've got that too. Visit Landers Insurance at 514 North Garden Street, Columbia. Call us at 931-380-2003. Our website is landersinsuranceagency.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
This is Trip Stoltz with Columbia Ace Hardware. I love listening to 101.7 WKOM FM, Columbia, Tennessee.
All right. Welcome back to the middle of it. I'm Jeb Hart. Thank y'all for being with me. I also would like to thank Clayton Harris for being with me, looking spiffy in a blazer for those of y'all not on the live stream. But
It's cold in the studio, man. It is freezing in here.
I mean, just looking good though.
Oh well.
I mean, understated with the t-shirt underneath, kind of dressing it up.
I'm telling you, man. Yeah, this jacket is one of those deals that you can just put anything, you can throw anything on and then cover yourself up with it, and you still look halfway decent. So I'll take it. Thank you. I'll 100% take it.
Halfway decent it's not too bad. It's halfway there.
Halfway there, man.
Halfway there. So when we went to break, we were kind of still talking. The question I've just continued to have is, when I know we're seeing it from a slightly different perspective than their base might be, but nobody believes that they actually believe that. So I wonder, how often can you boy who cried wolf to your own base when they also know that it's a little, in this case, it's a gigantic stretch, but how often can you do that and have them still be on board?
Look, I've been saying this for the last couple of weeks, and I think I maybe mentioned this on one of your very first shows. I truly believe, as much as people are starting to use AI now, it's going to be a lot tougher for both parties to BS people. I really believe that. I think, and I know AI is created by humans that could, influence it to be one way or the other. Or to be biased, I guess, maybe in some sense. But for the most part, it's pretty damn right down the middle. Here's an answer. It's here to solve a problem. Is it true or not? And bam, there it is. And so I think it's gonna educate people a lot more in a way that it's gonna make it nearly impossible for politicians on both sides to get away with the same BS that they spew every 2 years. That's just my thought.
Well, and I think that someone like Schumer, because I guess that's my question at the start, was why are they doing this? Because I guess it would be that it's the old playbook that when you had the media that was willing to run with it, very little ability to fact check it. That was they're not dumb. He didn't get to become the minority leader for no reason without understanding the political game. But sometimes, I mean, like when NIL came in and Saban got kind of passed by because it was a different world. He was great in the previous one, just the rules are different now. And some people are using an old playbook, would be my assumption, because there's no way that people are going to look at this and be like, yeah, obviously Jim Crow, very similar. And I mean, this is Selma, Alabama, and by asking people who already have an ID to show an ID. Like it's a wild stance to take, and I don't know if it's just because they're not allowed to agree with anything on the other side is probably a part of it, but also I don't know if it leads to a conspiratorial thought process because there doesn't seem to be another good rationality behind why the lady doth protest.
Well, I mean, and again, this is what turns people off. This turns off just normal Americans that just get up every day, go to their job. They clock in, they clock out in the afternoon. They go home, and the last thing they want to hear is some guy from New York get up there and talk about something that isn't a problem. You know what I mean? That is just,
But you can't talk about something that's not a problem and then compare it to one of the biggest problems in the last 100-something years that we've had.
Well, it's a disgrace and a disservice to all those who fought against the Jim Crow stuff. Because, yeah, I mean, it's to compare that, it's insulting. Honestly, it's just flat out insulting.
That's what I said. It's impressive to both race bait and be racist at the same time. Like,
Correct.
that's a tightrope to walk because there's not a lot of leeway on either side. But to do both is impressive. Which are like, I'm going to belittle the history of the people that fought to overcome, polling taxes, literacy tests that Harvard professors couldn't pass, and physical intimidation at polls, and all of this stuff. An ID is the same as that.
Yeah, that's just not even close. I mean, it's just not even close. You have to have an ID to get on an airplane. You have to have an ID, like you mentioned, to buy alcohol or tobacco. You got to have an ID to buy a house, to rent an apartment. I mean, it's just everybody knows that. It's just a normal.
And all of those systems are Jim Crow.
And that is just, again, it's such a turnoff to average Americans who really are just trying to take care of themselves and their families. It's just disgusting because nobody in their right mind is buying that.
Who are they speaking to?
Well, here's the thing, man. Like I was just thinking, like in college, I had a political science professor who talked about this very same thing. And I really feel like that at the time, and that was over 20 years ago now, I really think he was talking to the minorities in our class as a way to demonize the other side. I don't think they actually mean what they say, but it's kind of a way to just say.
How did he frame it? As best you can remember.
Well, he always attacked Ronald Reagan. Reagan was their Trump 25 years ago. And he mentioned that Reagan had announced his presidency in some city in Mississippi, his candidacy. And that was the site of some lynching that happened back in the 60s.
Madison Square Garden hosted a Nazi rally.
Oh, exactly. It was along those lines. And then I don't really remember the specifics of how he brought it up or how he said it, but basically it was, one side disenfranchises minorities with stringent voting laws like voter ID. And even 20 years ago, I'm just sitting there thinking, who doesn't have a damn ID or a driver's license? And even if you don't have a driver's license, you still got to have an ID. Everybody in college had an ID because if you wanted to get into the bars or to the clubs or whatever, you had to have it to show it you had to show it to the bouncer to get in the place. So, again, I didn't think it was genuine at the time. I definitely now as an adult know that it's not genuine. And again, it's just part of that playbook of repetitive things that get said every 2 years. I mean, it's the same thing year
Well,
after year.
I mean, I think that might actually, because the other thing, because actually for the first time, I made notes. I made 8 points. It kind of goes into that about repetitive. I'll kind of go over it because I did homework, y'all,
All
which
right.
is tough for me because as a genuine confession, like I love a good story. I love a clean story arc, the beginning, middle, and end, where everything makes sense and you know exactly who to cheer for, who to be mad at. But the problem is, real life does not come with a narrator. And the more a news story feels like it does, the more you should suspect you're not getting the news, you're getting a product. And in an age where the fastest version of events wins, not the truest, the most shareable version wins, not the most complete one. And if you're wondering why everybody else feels like everything is always on fire, because on fire is great for ratings.
Absolutely.
Calm is a pretty poor performer. Calm doesn't raise funds. Calm doesn't come with a share button. But a panic attack in high definition? Oh, that's showtime, baby. And that gets it going.
And I really wonder what these cable news networks are going to do after Trump's gone. What would who's going to be the villain then? It's so funny to me that George W. Bush was the villain all my teenage years and early adulthood years, and now he's celebrated by the left.
And I genuinely think he probably has more to apologize for than
Absolutely. I mean,
he has a lot more.
His administration lied to the American people
over and over and over again to the deaths of many, many people for American greed. But he was folksy and did not like he conducted himself not angrily in press conferences. It was
Right.
more all shucksy, and you can get away with that. But I think so. Like to the 8 points, like I don't want to turn anybody into into some cynical person about things. But like I want to make, we got 3 minutes left. I'll get into the 8 points when we get back. We could wrap up on this because I think the George Bush thing, we he celebrated like he was at the funeral, sitting next to the Obamas, and they're making jokes and laughing, and they're all fine. Like the idea that he is some like all of the past is washed away, and that part's fine because we now have a new person to point our vitriol at. Like the fire hose got angled, and like now he's dry and clear. It has to go somewhere, but it kind of does feel like it has to go somewhere. It cannot be equally appropriated to like 10% here, 5% here. It's just like a single pivot nozzle.
Well, look, I always look at it like this. I always try to think, what are they going to say about this person or this part of our history or time in 100 years? How are they going to? How are future generations that aren't influenced by our mainstream media today going to look at how things were done in 100, 200, 300 years down the road? And it's going to be really, really hard to defend the Bush administration when you just look at the basic facts of the matter, especially with the Iraq War and the flat out lying about weapons of mass destruction that were not there. Saddam Hussein had nothing to do with 9/11, and the Bush administration used the anger of the country post 9/11 to basically
we hid the information about the Saudi training.
Correct. I mean that's
which is a gigantic deal that does not get talked about nearly enough.
Yeah, every one of the hijackers was Saudi Arabian. I mean, it's
or Pakistani.
Yeah, but I mean, again, you talk about Bush, Obama. it's interesting how throughout the last 60 years, between Obama's grandfather and the eldest Bush, how all their paths crossed through either the CIA or through the government at one point or another. And I used to believe those things were conspiracies, but hell, the last 10 years has taught me that if someone says it's a conspiracy, more than likely it could and possibly is true.
I mean, I think that it's one of those two things can be true at once.
Yeah.
People who aspire to that sort of office tend to work in those realms. So the overlap is there. It's not necessarily some pre-thought out, game plan as to how they're going to get there, but it is, a symbiotic ecosystem where everybody kind of knows each other and they're in these places who know things they probably shouldn't or do things they may or may not regret and bring people into them. And, it is weird. And then you have somebody that breaks it up. You talk about looking back on history. When you look back on history, you look back at the major events. You're not looking at headlines from the day to day. That's not what history does not remember a tweet.
Nope.
History remembers the actions that were taken. And that's what people stick with. And we will get back to y'all with the 8 rules that I actually did homework on or made notes about, at least. Not homework, I just wrote. We will see y'all after the break.
There ain't nobody here who can cause me pain, erase my fear, cause I got only love to share. If you're looking for truth, I'm proof, you'll find it there.
Columbia, your Love's travel stop just got a whole lot better. We've modernized our space at 1624 Bear Creek Pike at exit 46 to bring you more of what you want with fuel discounts, additional food offerings, and everything you need to hit the road with ease. Come say hi at the remodeled Love's in Columbia. We thank you for allowing us to be a part of your community. Safe travels.
Discover Prime and Pint in downtown Columbia, where great food meets great company. Join us for weekly specials. Tuesday is Texas Tuesday with a rotating menu that gives back to local causes. Wednesday is half off burgers and pints all day long. And on Thursday, don't miss our prime rib dinner carved fresh by our chef. Make your night memorable at Prime and Pint, 105 East 6th Street, Columbia. Prime and Pint Butchery and Public House.
I'm Chris Stewart, voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide, and you're listening to the Front Porch Sports Radio Hour on 101.7 WKOM.
He shoots, he scores. Do you love money? Who doesn't? I'm Thomas Burns with Workout Anytime 24/7 in Franklin and Columbia. Let's scan a QR code today. Let's get you into a drawing for $25,000 and 2 free tickets to a Nashville Predators game. Don't miss out on free money. Let's get those cameras out and scan today. Again, scan that QR code at 125 Bear Creek Pike in Columbia, Tennessee. Let's get you slap shot ready.
Some people are just obsessed with their lawns. They'd cut their grass with a pair of scissors if they could. Thanks to Gravely, they don't have to. You see, Gravely makes not only the best built and most comfortable lawnmowers, they also leave your house looking like a doggone country club. So whether you're a commercial landscaper wanting the best or just a perfectionist homeowner, you can't do better than a Gravely.
See our full line of Gravely products at Murray County Equipment, 1075 North James Campbell Boulevard in Columbia, Tennessee, or check us out on Facebook.
This is David Usselton with Usselton Automotive, located in Columbia, Tennessee. We service all foreign and domestic vehicles. We take pride in our work, and we don't cut corners. We offer a 5-year, 50,000-mile warranty and loan our cars with almost every repair. We are located at 1201 South High Street in Columbia, Tennessee. You can reach us at 931-215-1765 or find more information at usseltons.com.
top of the hour. Coming up on our second hour here. Thank y'all for being in the middle of it with me. We are in the middle of it. Well, I'm Jeb Hart. I'm here with Clayton Harris. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing well, Jeb. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm doing well. Pleasantries aside, shall we proceed?
Absolutely. I want to hear your homework.
All right, so like most people out there are looking for truth. They really aren't. They think they're looking for truth, but in reality, they're looking for relief, like relief from like confusion, from complexity, from having to say, I don't know yet. And the news cycle is happy to calm you down right after it winds you up. And the price of admission is your judgment. And you can usually smell it when it's a narrative. When it's too neat, it's too fast, it's too certain. And it comes with the conclusion built in on the front end. Once you notice it, you start seeing the same 8 tells, what I wrote down, over and over again. And so it's just, you can get into the 8. So the first one, clip trap. Now, it is the 8 quick tells, the first one being a clip trap. And it's tedious because information is boring. It has waiting periods, it has conditions, it has footnotes, and that's a tough sell. And people don't want to wait on spreadsheets. They just rather have it be spoon-fed, and they don't need that. So clips are proof of a moment. They are not an explanation of reality. A 12-second video cannot show you what happened. It can show you what happened for 12 seconds. It can't tell you what happened before. It can't tell you what was said. It can't tell you what was tried. It can't tell you what was ignored, and it cannot tell you what was escalated. A clip is just a window. It's a window. It is not the whole house.
No, and it gets used for manipulation. I mean, when you started saying this, first thing I thought about was Trump's Charlottesville quotes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was the first. And I have a good friend who's a Democrat, and we were sitting in my office one day. I said, we were talking politics, and I honestly do not like talking politics. I honestly don't. But I said, it's just like the Charlottesville thing. And he looked it up on his phone, and he saw it, and he had believed, because of what he had seen in a clip, that he was only talking about one side.
Well, he saw that clip not one time. He saw that many times.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And that's still, even what, 8 years later,
right,
it still got brought up near the end of it as though people don't have the internet, but the ideas are so pervasive. Like, I've seen people in that same thing. I've seen friends of mine who I've done a similar thing to, like, their face when they see the whole thing is a very interesting thing, because it is a humbling thing to recognize that while it's not, the totality of his political position, a lot of the way that you feel about him is framed in certain ways. And once you start to realize that that's kind of shaky ground, or the things that you believed, because if he said the Nazis were good people, then yeah, that's a pretty reasonable thing to have a problem with. But he didn't. Like, the whole thing is they should be condemned completely. He was making a very reasonable thing. That's like, there's good people on both sides of this argument about statues. I understand why people want them taken down. I understand why people want them up. That's a pretty fair spot to be.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I would be at on that, is that, like, I get why people have an issue with it, and I absolutely get why people would want them up. I'm like, but if you cut it down to good people on both sides, and then you cut to a frame of people marching with tiki torches and someone get killed.
Right.
Not a great look.
Not a good look. No, I mean, again, it's just manufactured biases is what it is. I mean, it's just you cannot. Again, you cannot trust the news media. You cannot.
Number two,
they've proven it over and over again.
Number two, the missing minute. When a story starts in the middle of chaos, be careful. If you join a movie in the middle of a car chase, you're going to miss why anybody got into the car in the first place.
Right.
Are they running from a bank robbery? Are they being chased by a murderer?
Did they steal the car? Yeah.
And the boring question is usually the one that matters the most. Like, what happened before this? You got to ask that because you cannot start to form opinions based on the singular thing that you're looking at in that moment. There is so much more. There's a missing minute before, there's a missing 20 minutes, there's a missing, some cases, decade beforehand. And if you're seeing 12 seconds forming an opinion that shapes your worldview, you are shaping your worldview off of a TikTok reel. So be an adult. Don't do that. Number 3, label laundering. Like, this is when words do half of the argument. Insurrection, kidnapping, fascist, genocide, mostly peaceful. Some of those words might apply, but when they show up before the facts have, that's a red flag because labels are shortcuts to the story you want to tell. They let you skip the boring part that's important, that is detailed and nuanced, where you're required to prove what that is. And that's the move there. Because translated into verbs, you don't tell me kidnapping, tell me exactly what happened. Don't tell me insurrection. Tell me who did what, to whom, where, and why. Like, you're taking these shortcuts using big, very scary words that, if true, I mean, it's big if true, but you're not by using the label laundering, you are jumping ahead in the line of logical reason because you're saying, yeah, it's kidnapping. Anyway, we're going to talk about how they're kidnapping, and then you start that train of thought when you need to be like, all right, let's go back here a little bit. How is it kidnapping? Would you explain that to me?
Yeah.
And they're not required to do that because they jump the line with rhetoric. Number 4, source inflation. Sources say, officials familiar with, people close to, activist claim, many people say. Sometimes anonymous sources are necessary. I get you that, fine. But we've entered a world where anonymous sources get used like a free pass to speak with certainty without having. A story is built on vague sourcing and high confidence. That's not reporting. That's a sales pitch. Like, the amount of times, because you have no culpability with anonymous sourcing, you get to blame it on anonymous. It's BS. Like, and I get why it is necessary in order to open a vein into a story that you might not have understood existed prior to that. Fair. But if your sole source is anonymous sources, or many people say, or activists say, or these other hit numbers that they do, that's not a story. That should open the door, and then you need to go in and find the things that validate what anonymous said. Because I can understand why anonymous would not want to be named, because there's a lot of reasons for that. But that's not the story. That is a sales pitch with a already decided slant to how it's going to go. Number 5, emotional mandate. This is like where you can feel the story is trying to assign you a mood. Not, here's what happened, but here's how you should feel about it. Anger, disgust, moral certainty, some sort of revenge-flavored outrage. When you're told the only decent reaction is maximum emotion, you are not being informed, you're being activated. Like, talked about this yesterday, but I doubt any of y'all could hear it because I was both echoey and there was another show playing underneath it. There mistakes were made. But if you're given a story and you have a binary choice of your opinion on it, you have two options as to how you feel. You are being fed a storyline. You don't have to pick a position before you are allowed to ask reasonable questions about it. But so many of these things, it's either like the Minnesota one that I brought up yesterday that no one could hear was, either they are Marxist commies in the streets defying the federal government, or it is the Gestapo kidnapping people out of their beds and disappearing them. Like you're put these two options in front of you, and that's just not a rational thing people should do. It can be more nuanced than that. And it should be, because the world is a lot more complicated than a binary choice between good and evil or right and wrong. And people go that direction with it. Number 6, your faxed journalism. This is one of the sneakiest because it can be technically true, yet still purposely misleading. You can edit the timeline, cut the quote, pick the number, leave out some denominator. It can be accurate and still lie with what you choose to admit. So ask yourself, what fact would change my mind? And why am I not hearing that? Because the amount of times the amount of headlines that get clicks, and that's part of a business model that is a whole different conversation for us to have about the commoditization of clicks and the degradation of journalism because of that, because you have to have a salacious headline in order to have people click on it. And the same thing with YouTube or any other, content-based platforms nowadays. It has to be catchy enough for you to click on it, but by doing so, that requires you to have to cater to a specific audience who, whether you want to or not, even if you're doing the right thing and trying to report the news, you're like, well, that's showbiz, baby. And so I do Charlie Kirk owns libs, or this person. And so you are feeding into a echo chamber and a confirmation bias loop, whether you want to or not, by the headlines you have, because it does engage that people. And that creates a divide when it shouldn't. And you can frame headlines in a way that are technically true. I mean, like the amount of times in the past, 48 hours, I've heard, so-and-so exposed in the Epstein files, and they were like CC'd on some email about something else. All right, we got 2 minutes. Number 7, outrage as a product. And like a lot of people don't make money when you're informed. They make money when you're mad. Drama creates content. Content creates traffic. Traffic creates money, and money creates influence. Media, politics, activism, fundraising. If a story feels like it was designed to keep you pissed off and coming back, that's because it was.
Correct.
And number 8, false choice. Not the same two sides thing. This is different. This is when a story only lets you react in the two approved ways, like we talked about before. And both sides of that keep the story burning. You're either allowed to cheer or you're allowed to boo, both vehemently. You're not allowed to say, wait, slow down. Could you give me a little bit more clarification on that? Like, what's the timeline? Was there like a legal standard to that? Is there something else? When slow down is treated as a betrayal, you're not in a discussion. You are in some sort of like mobility drill to get to the end of this story so we can keep the fire stoked. Like, when you ask reasonable questions, you can go back to COVID or anything else, like, when people are like, all right, no, I get it. It's pretty serious. Is it cool if I ask? They're like, how about you? Shut the hell up.
Yeah.
Does that ever cross your mind? And you're like, whoa. They're like, oh, no. You're like, I felt like that was pretty reasonable. I'm just, the guy from Harvard and Stanford said it was a good question. I thought it was a good question too. And no, you have two choices here. And that is when you know you're being fed something that you shouldn't. Things are framed that way, things are positioned that way, and we will get more to it when we get back from the break. Thank y'all for being in the middle of it. We will see y'all in just a few.
This is Coach Tredaris Goff from Columbia Central High School football. You are listening to 101.7 WKOM in Columbia, Tennessee.
We at Hollins Pharmacy must be doing something right. We've been providing pharmaceutical services in the Middle Tennessee area for over 60 years. The guiding principles of our business are fast, accurate, friendly, personal service. We do not have long waiting lines, and our phone calls are answered by a staff member. We strive to get to know our customers by name, not just a date of birth or number. We are your locally owned hometown pharmacy, and we appreciate your business. We urge you to come visit us at Hollins Pharmacy, 1608 Hatcher Lane here in Columbia.
Hey, this is Derek Ransom of 10 Pin Alley, voted #1 family entertainment center in Murray County. We offer 32 bowling lanes, giant arcade, laser tag, bumper cars, and a full cafe and bar menu. We also specialize in group events, kids and adult birthday parties, company parties, sports team parties, and holiday parties. We're located at 322 East James Campbell Boulevard in Columbia. Call us today at 931-381-BOWL or visit us at 10pin.com. 10 Pin Alley, it's where the good times roll.
In today's uncertain world, you can never be too careful about your family's financial future. That's why the Parker Group, a part of Baird's Private Wealth Management, is offering a free second opinion on your financial plans. Let us review your current plan, and we will identify any gaps and offer suggestions to improve it. Please call the Parker Group at 931-548-3737. That's 931-548-3737. Robert W. Baird and Company Incorporated does not offer tax or legal advice.
This is Mark Curry at the Trailer Store. We are a local, family-owned business. Every day, I work with my wife, Susie, my mother, Becky, and my son, Justin. We offer a full line of lawnmower trailers, utility trailers, stock trailers, and a full line of trailer parts. We also offer service. Come see us at 1021 New Lewisburg Highway. Call us at 931-381-2795. That's 931-381-2795.
Farmer Johnny here, Taylor Family Farm. I want to give y'all a little look-see. We raise 100% non-GMO, grass-fed beef, pasture chicken, and pork on our family farm. Everything that we grow is raised with love and care to ensure the highest quality and nutrition for our family and customers. You can shop online at TaylorFamilyFarmTN.com or visit our farm store in person at Etheridge, Tennessee at 301 Dave Reisner Road. That's TaylorFamilyFarmTN.com for more information.
Hi, I'm Kelly Dobson, owner of Caring Hearts Home Healthcare here in Columbia. For over 20 years, we've proudly served our community, locally owned and operated, providing trusted care you can count on. We support seniors, individuals with disabilities, and even short-term care after surgery. From personal care to homemaking and companionship, our team is here to help you or your loved one live safely and comfortably at home. Call Caring Hearts today at 931-381-5470 or stop by in person, 1121 Trotwood Avenue here in Columbia.
Hello, I'm Rick Whitley. And I'm Daniel Pollard from Jones & Lang Sporting Goods. We would like to take this opportunity to thank all of you for the many years of support. Since 1966, Jones & Lang has been locally owned and operated and supplying teams from T-ball to college. Stop by and see what we can do for you. We offer a wide variety of services from silk screening and embroidery to our custom trophy and awards department. We're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and Saturday, 9 to noon. Remember, Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Hello, my name is Zach Maddox. I'm a proud third-generation owner-operator of Columbia Paint and Wallcover, founded by my grandfather, Ralph Maddox, in 1946. We offer a variety of paint and wallcovering products, but our passion is customer service. We can offer many personalized services and can come out to your house or business if needed. Come visit us at our Columbia location or our new Spring Hill location behind Church of the City, or visit us online at paintcolumbia.com.
This is Coach Devin Simler from Columbia Central Baseball. You are listening to 101.7 WKOM in Columbia, Tennessee.
Welcome back to the middle of it. We are a little bit into the second hour of the show. Thank you all for being with us. I am Jeb Hart, joined as now always with Clayton Harris. How are you?
I'm here, man. I'm here. It's a
that is a glowing endorsement.
No. I don't take it the wrong way. It has been a wild, crazy morning here at the station. We've had a lot of people.
Anything
come
that
in.
could be extrapolated out to the public, or is this private?
No, we had this bell out front on our desk, like a little bell, and that bell has rung several times this morning. So yeah, that's if you see me getting up and down, that's what's going on. So, but no, show's been running smooth so far. No echo. You sound great on your microphone. So I would say this show so far has been a success.
Well, I mean, I still got time to screw it up. Don't you give me too much credit. I'm confident you're going to make it through the next 43 minutes just fine. I believe in myself. So on my list of 8, anything stick out to you? Is that the one that really, I think, the label laundering, I think it's the most disingenuous thing that gets done so often is you let a singular word do the totality of the argument for you, and then you move forward from there. You're like, no, it's a genocide. Anyway, we're moving forward. Now we're going to talk about the fact that it is. That gets done far too often.
Yeah, I mean, I would argue that the R word's been used more than anything. You know, racist. You're a racist. You're a racist. You're homophobic. You're transphobic. You can only say that so many times before people just start muting that out and just, or at least that's the way I look at it. I mean, you can only get away with that so many times.
It's also grammatically untrue because
really
phobic means an irrational fear of something.
Exactly.
Like, it's about like no one who is saying women should not be competing against men who transition to women in high school sports has a fear, like they're terrified that they're going to like sneak into their bedroom and kill them, or they see them and they freak out, like arachnophobia or whatever it may be. Like, you're not an irrational fear. It's just a policy choice you're trying to discuss. And labeling it as a phobia, I think, might kind of put itself into that label laundering thing to where you're saying what you're saying is an irrational fear. Yep. Ergo, we are no longer going to listen to the things you have to say because it is irrational, because it's phobia.
Dude, real quick, I don't want to change the subject, but we do have
Go for it.
We do have some breaking news, and that's what I do love about these live shows, that we can bring breaking news to people. But it appears Bill and Hillary Clinton have agreed to testify in the House Epstein probe.
Yes, I saw that.
I guess they probably got a little worried about, Steve Bannon and others going to jail for doing exactly what they did. And sounds like they got a little scared of that contempt vote that the House is still saying they're going to do. So,
I mean, I don't understand how people will bring up Jim Jordan and a few others who did not adhere to their subpoena. There is a lot more nuance to that situation because there was several pending things about what he was being subpoenaed for. But if you get subpoenaed, it's not really a request in any sense of the word. Like, it's a subpoena. It's a requirement to appear. And I don't know who they think they are to be able to defy to be like, I'm Hillary Clinton, I don't have to do that. But
she did it with her emails. Her 33,000 emails were subpoenaed. She did not turn over. She deleted, or she actually broke her phones. They used BleachBit with with her devices and also her private server. So yeah, I mean, it's just
but that's
par for the course.
Well, that's different because that way she at least could be like, I mean, I'm sorry, I tripped and fell with my hammer and broke the phone, and
Yeah.
I didn't mean like you can give up some B like you don't get to say like I'm not going to show up and talk, but you can do the I mean, it happened by accident and it was an oopsie and then I didn't mean to. I totally wanted to give you all of those things. Seriously, I really wanted to, but when I was near the wood chipper, we were doing a lot of yard work as Bill and I, tend to do. We're from Arkansas, we manual labor folks, and it just fell in. The mistakes happen. I'm really sorry. I'd love, but being like, no, I'm not going to show up. That one you don't have an out.
No. No,
And
you don't. And again, it goes back to the hypocrisy. If you and I got subpoenaed to the court and we didn't show up, guess what they're going to do? They're going to put out a warrant for our arrest. Period.
but what if, and hear me out. What if I super didn't want to?
Hire a lawyer to go represent you instead.
Yeah. I'd super, but yeah, I really don't want to is my counterpoint. I super don't want to do that because that seems scary and I might get in trouble. So take that, Congress.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's not supposed to work that way.
It doesn't work that way. Damn, I thought that was a good argument.
But
I thought that's what they're trying to go with.
Believe me, for years it has worked that way for politicians on both sides of the aisle. And again, they live by a different set of rules than we do. We talked about insider trading yesterday.
I mean, when we talk, as that they're coming up in the with the Epstein files thing, I'm glad. I mean, that'll be, just appointment television whenever. I mean, C-SPAN's going to get some ratings on that, but I would like for everyone out there to know because when these Epstein file things are coming out, be it, and I know a lot of people are going to see things on Facebook or Twitter or X as we call it. I'll forever go that, still call it Twitter, but you're going to see things. Use the internet with a very studied eye in these moments because there are 3 million documents that have been leaked out that you're catching pieces of. Like I said yesterday, I'm not going to read them all, but there's been things that have come out. Some of them were absolutely insane. And I looked into a few of them. There's one, I'm not going to overly bring it up except to say that it was a picture of a couple of chickens. It's not real. It's an art piece from some weird avant-garde artist that they pretended to redact and say that it was, in these Epstein files. Just before you form an opinion on anything you see in any of this, make sure that what you're looking at is factual. And additionally, you're looking at things that are emails without context before or after, kind of in the same way that we're talking about the missing minute. Like,
well, Jeb, it's just like on social media. I get on there and I see people on both sides of the aisle, but on the left, I see all these people talking about how Trump's a child rapist and all these other things. All because of like you mentioned, there's 3 million files that are in this whole thing. And they're just basically saying because of whatever's in there, it's got to be true. So if you're going to apply that standard to Trump, you have to apply the same standard to Bill Clinton, who actually did go to the island. And then you also got to apply the same standard to the most ridiculous thing I've seen in that so far in that 3 million file dump, which had to do with George H.W. Bush. And, we're not even on the radio, but I still don't even want to talk exactly about what they accused him of on here because it's so disgusting. But to me, if you're going to play that game, then you got to, if you're saying that one thing or if you're selectively picking things out of those 3 million files and saying this is true, you have to say it for everything then. You have to say it for everything.
But what you should do, and if you're going to do that, then you have to do it for everything.
Yeah.
But what you should do, like a normal person, would be look at everything contextually, take it in, try to figure out what it actually means, not because somebody's name was mentioned or dudes were back and forth, kind of ass talking each other and saying some things that it is some indictment. Like 3 million documents. You can read into, like, this is not, you don't need to turn this into like a Taylor Swift album release where you're trying to do numerology and put pieces together, or some QAnon thing where you're like, there's enough evidence there to where if there are actual, pieces to put together, we'll be able to put it there. It's not for lack of, underlying evidence or documents or things like that. Like, if there's a there, we'll be able to address the there. You don't need to extrapolate out, because it only weakens your argument by being like, see, they said his name there. Okay. He was a socialite in New York and they were going to a charity event that was the same thing, and he was going to be the, like, that's not that and also then this goes for everybody who's in there. I'm not going to, there's a few things with Bill Clinton going to the island, not a great look. I don't really have any follow-up to that because that is, more suspect. But like, anybody whose name is in there is not some sort of indictment of being a pedophile. Like, you were in New York rich people's social circles doing things that rich people in social circles do, going to charity events, going to art galleries, going to things, having investments together. And especially pre the first sexual assault indictment in Florida that he had, like, he was a pretty well-known guy without any baggage. Like, he presented himself that way to almost everybody. So unless you were actually part of that underlying bad thing, you didn't really, it'd be very easy for you to like meet him at a party and be like, yeah, he's a really successful finance guy. He's really good at, tax law and evasion for the wealthy. Like, you want to have lunch with him, be like, yeah, that wouldn't be that weird of a thing. After the sexual, deviancy allegations that came out years before he actually got arrested for real. If it was before that and you had no reason to suspect anything, like, it's all, especially if you're just barely meeting somebody at a party. Like, I
mean, Stephen Hawking's is in the files. I mean, explain that one to me. How does that work? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, come on.
I mean, there was a story that got circulated around that Stephen Hawking went to the island and really enjoyed having little people do math on chalkboards that were a little too high. That I have absolutely no verification as to if that is real or not. That started to circulate, but it is a very good example of the things that could be out there. So just as a note to anybody, I think all of these things are really important, but look at them with a studied eye and don't eat the trash.
Correct.
Like, just let's not jump to opinions too quickly because some dude on Twitter was like, look, they're eating. We will catch y'all on the next half hour. See y'all in just a bit.
This is Coach Tradaris Goff from Columbia Central High School football. You are listening to 101.7 WKOM in Columbia, Tennessee.
Hi, I'm Robert Rogers at Parks Motor Sales Buick GMC.
And I'm Michael Parks Lawrence at Parks Motor Sales Buick GMC.
Together, we're Mr. Bobby Parks' grandsons, and we run his dealership, and we are glad to be part of our local community.
Being family-owned and operated, we invest heavily in our community.
We do things like sports teams, schools, bands, you name it. We try to help everybody we can.
The reason why we do this is because we all love this community.
So come do business with us, your neighbors, at Parks Motor Sales in Columbia, Tennessee, right off Nashville Highway, or at parksmotorsales.com.
Let's talk custom design jewelry. Did you know Tillis Jewelry in downtown Columbia creates custom design jewelry and has been for over 30 years? From one-of-a-kind engagement rings to wedding bands and so much more. We want each piece to be as unique as you are and create a family heirloom for tomorrow. Call today and make an appointment with one of our designers. And just for calling, you will receive a free 30-minute consultation. Tillis Jewelry, creating custom jewelry proudly in Tennessee.
Hi, Jimmy here for Columbia Ace Hardware. Columbia Ace Hardware now carries Magnolia Home by Joanna Gaines Paint. Now their premium quality and huge selection of colors will be right in your neighborhood, along with the award-winning service and advice Columbia Ace has always provided for your paint projects. Around the block, what you need in stock, with people who know their paint. Columbia Ace, the helpful place.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Do you have trees that need trimming or removed? Do you have stumps that you want grounded? A1 Tree Trimming and Removal is a family-owned and operated business local to Columbia and Lewisburg. They also service surrounding Middle Tennessee. We are licensed and insured and provide free estimates. No job is too big, no tree is too small. Give old Luke a call or text Luke at 931-359-3113. Or you can check them out on Facebook and tell A1 Tree Removal that you heard this ad on the radio. If you love America, then you will love A1 Tree Removal.
You're not just a homeowner, you're also an ice maker that didn't read the job description owner. Fortunately, you've got heating and cooling built and tested to keep going. American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning, built to a higher standard.
Call Davis Heating and Cooling at 931-388-2090 for all your home comfort needs. Davis Heating and Cooling is your local independent American Standard dealer and proudly serves the Murray County area. Find Davis Heating and Cooling online and on Facebook or call today, 388-2090.
Hey, this is Seth Moss at Tennessee Valley Equipment, a premier FAE PrimeTech, Bandit, and Surex dealer. We are your dealer for all of your land clearing and forestry mulching needs. We sell equipment, provide repair service, and parts along with a rental fleet of mulching equipment. We also offer mulching teeth, blades, and sharpening. Our number one priority is getting you up and running as quickly and affordable as possible. Tennessee Valley is located at 300 Santa Fe Pike in wonderful Columbia, Tennessee. Stop by or give us a call today at 931-981-9812.
This is Debbie Matthews with the Nashville Realty Group, and if you've been paying attention, you know the housing market has been tough, but rates are beginning to thaw. So if you're thinking about selling, the time to jump in is getting better every day. But if you're thinking about buying, and those interest rates are still a little bit too high, a good agent knows how to negotiate interest rate buydowns, and I'm a good agent. So call me, Debbie Matthews with Nashville Realty Group, 615-476-3224.
This is Hal Landers, owner of Landers Insurance Agency. We are an independent agency representing the famous Erie Insurance Group. Landers Insurance Agency has been committed to providing great rates and great service since 2002. Whether it's home and auto or business or life insurance, we've got you covered. 24/7 in-house claim service, we've got that too. Visit Landers Insurance at 514 North Garden Street, Columbia. Call us at 931-380-2003. Our website is landersinsuranceagency.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
This is Trip Stoltz with Columbia Ace Hardware. I love listening to 101.7 WKOM FM, Columbia, Tennessee.
All right. Welcome back. Thank y'all for being in the middle of it. I'm Jeb Hart. I appreciate y'all being with us. Here, Peyton Harris in his dressed up T-shirt with his salacious jacket.
It's long sleeve, man. It's like I did wear long sleeve today. It's just
it's still
just rolled up a little bit. You know.
I feel like that still falls under T-shirt category. I feel like that
long sleeve T-shirt. You're correct on that.
So when we were going to the end there, so there's a live thing going on right now, and I don't have enough to really have an opinion. I just watched the Democratic House press conference for this vote that's happening, and oh boy, the quote that I wrote down was, the reason that the House Republicans are so interested in Bill and Hillary Clinton is to obscure the fact that Donald Trump is mentioned over 1,000 times in 3 million documents. And, and he goes, of such are salacious allegations. And then I looked up in that period the things that he had cited. Weirdly enough, as I was trying to look up one of the things, I got an update from Snopes about this, what appears to be a Polaroid from like 1997, that they're like, do not believe this is not a real picture. Like everybody, in the age of AI and this amount of information being dumped out that would be impossible for anybody, one person to go through, you've got to be very, very careful with what you choose to form an opinion on because, oh boy, I mean, it's so easy. I mean, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, like you can tell a Photoshop and that takes some effort.
Sure.
And a good one would be hard to ascertain, but you can still get to the bottom of it with a bit. This stuff is a whole different level. And especially if they're like the one that they were pointing out is a picture of like a Polaroid that's on a table and it has like writing on it that says 97 like it doesn't look good.
Who's in it?
Also,
Who's in the picture?
Bill
Clinton?
Trump and a bunch of girls.
Uh-huh.
It says 7/7/1997. It's Trump, Epstein, and like 8 girls. Like,
what are they doing? They're just.
but it's not real.
And Snopes
So-
has come out and said that.
Yeah, this is actually from Snopes, which is not, the most proactive in siding with things. So like these, but the idea congressperson could get up there and say the only reason that they care about this is to distract from this is the most politically transparent nonsense I've ever heard. Like, do you think the people on your side are not going to continue to talk about his involvement? Yes, of course they will. Do I think that if there's anything there worth looking into, it should be? Absolutely.
You know though, Jeb, I always think long game, long term. What's the play at the end of the day? And I try to put myself in other people's positions. What are they thinking? What must he be or she be thinking? And I'm telling you right now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. But I'm telling you right now, they're either going to kill Donald Trump or he's going to end up in prison whenever they get back in control. It's one or the other. He's going to get assassinated or they will put him in prison for the rest of his life. It's one or the other. I honestly believe that. I mean,
well,
tell me why I shouldn't believe that. They've already he's already been attempted to be assassinated twice that we know of, and they've tried to put him in prison. I mean, tell me I'm wrong.
Well, I think once he's out of office, putting him in prison for the rest of his life isn't going to yield the same results as it would have to stop him from getting in office. That was the motivation, because that's where the power lay. Because I'm not going
but some DA like Fonnie Willis is gonna want to make a name for, or what's the one up in New York that
Alvin Bragg
or Letitia James. They're going to look for retribution because Trump's fired right back at them. Again, it goes back to hypocrisy.
Well, the issue that I've always had with all of this idea of like, the politically motivated prosecutions of those or of his enemies or whatever. If you start a fight on a political footing, any retribution will inherently be political. Like, because he was politically attacked wrongly in many cases, it is fair to look into that, especially if there are reason with Jack Smith and all these other things that were very squirrely. But yes, it is a fair label to say it is a politically motivated retribution, because that is accurate. It is political, and it was motivated by, wrongdoing, and there's enough there to justify looking into it. But it doesn't mean that he showed up there being like, I'm going to take everybody down. Like, it started politically. So if you're going to, you don't just wipe your hands of it and say, I can't do that, because it would come off as me looking like I'm, doing you can't just, wrong things happen. They need to be addressed. Whether or not it comes off as being politically motivated, they started a politically motivated thing. and you can't get mad at someone at finishing it.
And well, I'm just saying, again, I look at people I know that I love and respect, and Trump lives rent free in their heads. And I'm just telling you, there are some folks in this country, it's already been proven, that if they had the opportunity, they would take him out. They would take him out. And I just want to know what his plan is for after he leaves office. And that's what, that's what people got to realize is that, hey, you got 3 more years of this administration, and then we'll have a vote to see if J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio or Gavin Newsom or whoever is the next president. And I don't know, man. Like I said, I hate the hypocrisy in all of this. And, Trump was a Democrat. He had one of the highest rated shows on television on NBC. And I would say that CNN and MSNBC helped create Trump in politics. I mean,
look at the ratings.
Yeah, well, look how many times he was on Morning Joe with
Morning Joe, all of that. But then, I mean, you talk about they created him, they built him as a thing, and then when he entered the political, they made him the villain, but also he got the clicks and the views. If you look at the CNN and MSNBC ratings during the Biden years, went off a cliff, and they've continued to because of their lack of credibility with the rebrand and everything else. But they were basically the Donald Trump trash talk network 24/7.
Yeah,
and it got clicks. It fed into the fears or anger or irrationality of people's beliefs, and it was a confirmation bias, just wind tunnel that you could click onto and just be like, oh, I'm right, hit me with it. And then when Biden's in there doing absolutely nothing, they're just kind of talking about how he's not that old, really. And sometimes people trip on stage at the Air Force Academy, and it happens to the best of us. And you asked this earlier, like, what are they going to do once he's done? If the assumption is that it is some giant politically motivated attempt on his life, they would not do it after the fact, because then you turn a very old guy who doesn't got a ton of time left into a martyr, and that's a whole nother wave of things that I don't think that they could be able to control. And
and to that point, Jeb, I said it last year in July, or I guess it was the year before last in July, after the assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania. That did it. That won the election right there.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had people say that it was fake. It was WWE style type of fake. The blood was fake. I mean, the amount of hate. The hatred for him has made very smart people sound crazier than hell.
It is. And had multiple people not been shot, a guy been killed directly in the path of it.
Right.
Like, you're not going to have a 19-year-old kid or however old he was shoot at you from 100 yards away and hope you get just close enough to make it seem real. Like,
isn't it kind of strange too, though, Jeb, that we don't know anything about that kid?
Oh, that is bizarre. Yeah. That his entire apartment was cleaned out.
Yeah.
That he, it was professionally cleaned out. He is a young kid in America who has zero social media presence, wiped from the internet. His parents haven't really been, because you talk about something that would be a just absolutely ridiculously good Dateline, or just get the views and get the people going, the deep dive on that one and the Vegas shooting.
Yeah.
And you want to talk about people whose names you remember? Do you remember the name of the Vegas shooter?
Nope.
Exactly. Yet that's the largest mass shooting in American history.
Correct.
By a huge margin.
Just picking people off, man.
And we don't know the motivation. We don't know the rationality. We don't know anything. And everyone was like, that was crazy, right? Anyway,
Moving
and we're like,
on.
whoa, let's
Yeah.
get to the bottom of that a little bit more. That one was always bananas to me that we just know. And if you want to talk about how a media narrative structure the way that you perceive events, Dylan Roof, you remember the name? Shot up a church in Charlotte. Absolutely awful.
Mm-hmm.
This guy killed like 10 times more people.
Right. Yeah. No, I
And
agree. It's mind blowing. 100%.
I mean, and I'm talking about it now because I'm realizing the bias in my own head because I don't remember his name. And that is very telling. That's something that I normally would remember.
Right.
And I've thought about, that shooting at the Mandalay Bay and all of that stuff a decent amount, but like the fact that I'm blanking on it right now is off-putting. I mean, I remember the details about, his wife, he like wired her money and that he was there again. All of it is really weird. There's also something with Saudis and there's a bunch of weird stuff with there's some map online about like 911 calls that you can time out like when things happen. That's odd, but we just don't know enough about that. It kind of falls into the Jack Ruby category thing that we talked about yesterday, to where you're like, okay, like we know who shot him, but I feel like there's a bit more to be mined there. I feel like you don't just get to confess or like this idea that like once you got the person that did it, there's no follow up to it. Because I know in like a normal like murder investigation, you go to a trial once you think you have the person, you present the evidence, and in this case, there wasn't evidence needed because the guy had the gun, like who did it, and so you're like, all right, case closed. But there really does need to be a lot more closure on conversations like that. Are you looking it up right now?
I am. I'm let's see here.
But I think when we talk about the way, media shapes things, like people who are saying that the Butler thing, Stephen Paddock. Now, I feel like you could bring that up to somebody and say, like, Steve Paddock, my buddy from work, and like it wouldn't even ring a bell that like it wouldn't like register in the back of their head that that's a name that they recognize.
I don't even recognize the name, and I remember the shooting like it was yesterday, but I don't even remember his. I don't even remember his name. So yeah,
that's something worth considering and looking into as to why we don't remember the largest mass shooter in American history's name.
Correct. It'll be a Netflix special in 30 years.
In 30 years.
All right. So real quick, we got 12 minutes left in the show.
All right.
Saw this headline yesterday, New York Post. Wanted to get your opinion on it too. The headline says, "To the moon. Inside the outer space hotels prepping to welcome guests as soon as 2032. And Jeb, the guy's so confident he's asking for refundable deposits ranging from $250,000 to $2 million. But let me ask you a question, because I do believe that Elon Musk is going to get things set up there, along with others.
Who is it that's doing the hotel?
The hotel is...
This will form a lot of my opinion.
His name is Skylar Chan. He's the CEO of Galactic Resource Utilization Space, GRU. And he's the one that recently announced that he is taking reservations for a hotel he plans to open on the moon within the next 10 years. And again, he's so confident he's asking for refundable deposits ranging from $250,000 to $2 million. And he says the moon is just the start. We want to build the first cities on Mars using the same technology and architecture. Chan cautioned, however, that the getaway spot will not be for everybody, but the technological revolution is met with a lot of pushback. Those who are scared, skeptical, poor, or fuzzy can remain on Earth. This is a very adventurous...
Fuzzy?
Yeah, that's what it says, or fussy. This is a very adventurous thing, he says. Staying on the moon, at least initially, will be far from a cushy night at the Mandalay Bay. The hotel will have room for just 4 people, and the structure itself will be inflatable to cut down on costs of transporting materials from Earth. See, I like Musk's idea much better of using the actual rockets as the moon base. But
all right, allow me to introduce you to the idea of a Ponzi scheme.
right.
So
Yeah.
you have to give me your money now, and I have 10 years to do the thing, and I'll totally give it back later on after I get $50 million in the bank. And, oh no, I'm in a non-extradition country, and look what happened by accident.
Okay, all right, so I agree. I'm right there with you.
You said if they're too poor or fussy, like that is not a great public statement to open with.
It's coming from the Post, but I will say this: if it does happen, if there are if you could go to the moon, would you do it?
I would do it after 100,000 other people did it, and it was a proven concept. I'm not going to be on the submarine to the Titanic made out of carbon fiber, laying down uncomfortable. I think there's a rationale to, expanding our horizons, potentially, doing terraforming, but I don't think in my lifetime it's something that I think is viable. Would I go to space on one of the Blue Origin rockets where you get to the stratosphere and float a little bit? I'd consider it. I mean, when I'm older, I got kids, I got other things, but for that amount of money, the ROI is pretty low. I think it's more of just to be able to say you did it, because you can go to Russia and go in one of those old cargo planes and you can experience weightlessness. If anybody wants to watch that, there's the band OK Go has they spent a week in Russia doing this music video on one of those planes that goes up and down, and the band is okay. Their music's fine. I don't have a problem with it. It's not my favorite thing in the world. Their music videos are the greatest things I've ever seen. You've probably seen them. They're the ones who did the treadmill thing.
Yes.
And then they got more and more from that. They made one that was, the whole music video was 3 seconds, and then they slowed it down, and all the things that happened, artistically it's really impressive. But they did one that was on one of those the zero gravity Russian planes,
right?
And it is incredibly impressive. And they did a documentary about how they did it. But so if I wanted to go experience weightlessness, fine. If it becomes viable, or the world is ending and I have the financial ability to do it, fine. But I'm not doing it unless the world's ending. I don't want to be uncomfortable. I don't want to go camping, really. I don't much less sitting in an inflatable cold thing on the moon so I can not feel as fat as I am. I don't.
Speaking of space, though, did you see where SpaceX and XAI have merged?
I mean, is there? I don't understand why that. I mean, is that just purely financially? Because, I mean, they're owned by the same person. They probably have symbiotic overlap anyway. So,
well, and they're saying Tesla may be the other piece that gets merged in with it as well.
Oh my. Who could have seen that coming?
Right.
I mean, that's not like General Electric acquiring AMC movie theaters.
Right.
You're yeah, same guy. It's just putting all the kids in the car. I mean, there might be some financial aspect to it of consolidation that I haven't looked into enough, but I don't really know. I wouldn't go to space. Would you go to space?
100%.
For the amount of for the ROI on it,
No, well, I mean, not at that price.
Not a free trip to space. I'm saying for what it's going to be under the conditions that it is.
It depends on who's doing it, and it depends on the cost. If I can afford it, I would do it. from the time I was a kid, it's just space has always fascinated me, and I don't know, man. Like in our lifetime, we haven't been to the moon, and I just find that very odd. I find it very, very odd that we were able to do all this stuff in the '60s and early '70s, and basically since then, nothing.
Well, it's pretty straightforward. If you look at it's one of the most American story arcs of all time. We got into a
Space
gentleman
race.
business
Yeah.
measuring contest with the Soviet Union. We were losing because they put Sputnik up. They put a man in space before we did.
Correct.
And then we got a little momentum when we had the first guy circumnavigate the globe. And we were like, all right, we got one. And then just that congressional, financial approval for ridiculous American, blank measuring contests got approval. And we're like, yeah, let's go. And after we did it the first time, it was the biggest deal in the history of the world at the time. Next time, less so. Apollo 13, that got the people going. After that, people kind of stopped caring. The same thing, like the only space shuttle missions that you remember are the ones that exploded. So, like, it only becomes a thing when it is dramatic, the first, or to spite somebody else. Like I said the other day, like if China went to the moon and took the flag down, yes, we would go back to the moon and take their flag down. And we left the keys in the car. So like we just didn't have like the public backing wasn't there enough for Congress to demand that amount of money to do something that was just an ego project.
I just don't see how it's not possible. We don't have an HD camera or something up there now. I mean, we got
We have lasers.
We got
we have mirrors,
right,
that you can shoot lasers at, that you can like triangulate and see the time. Like
you got rovers at Mars though. We got rovers. I mean, why aren't we doing the same thing somewhere that's just nearby?
because we can see it pretty clearly. Because okay, if you're gonna spend the money to launch something into space, you're going to at least want to do it at a place you haven't already seen or you can't see really well with I mean, have you ever been to like a university why would I why am I blanking on this? Um the telescope place, it's got the dome. I'm blanking on the name.
The Hubble telescope.
Well, the Hubble telescope can do that, but I'm
that's
just
in
talking
space.
about like one at a school.
Hawaii. There's one in Hawaii, I believe.
Yes, and
observatory. Yeah.
Observatory. Good Lord, thank you. I was running myself in absolute like circles in that. If you've ever been to one and like you could look at the moon, like you can see like individual rocks, like really clearly, because those things are meant to be able to see things way further away. So like that is nothing to that. So like I just financially, I don't understand why they would send an HD camera up there. If they're going to send something, they might as well send it to Mars or a rover that's going to Jupiter, or and when we go to this, we talk about like the Voyager that's like now outside of our galaxy.
Yeah.
Do you know, if you had to guess, what is the fastest man-made object in human history?
I saw this last night in the documentary. I think the fastest craft we have, it's like 4,500 miles an hour, maybe.
It's not the fastest man-made object in human history.
Is it that? Is it Voyager?
No.
What is it?
It's a manhole cover.
A manhole cover?
Operation Plumb Bob. We decided to bury a nuclear weapon in a hole and seal it in with a manhole cover and put it down there with another bomb
Oh my.
to prove that the nuclear weapon would only explode if it was triggered by its triggering device. Another bomb, it would remain inert. And they had a high-speed camera that was 100,000 frames per second. And when it exploded, obviously exploded, and it shot it at 100,000 feet per second.
Holy cow.
So it would have entered the atmosphere, and it wasn't a regular manhole cover. I mean, it was like the size of it was gigantic. Like, then it was but it would have entered the atmosphere in less than 2 seconds and been in space.
My
And it's
gosh.
the fastest thing we have ever created to the best because the 100,000 frames per second camera caught it once.
I was about to say, I don't even know how you see that.
And so the calculations they did, I mean, it was pretty wide frame. So they were 100,000 frames went from here to 300 feet in 100,000ths of a second. We're gone. Well, we are at the hour. I appreciate y'all being with us. Thank you so very much. We will see y'all tomorrow. Clayton, have you a good one.
You too, Jeb.
All right.
See you tomorrow.
Look forward